Okay, so we've built our first page, and maybe you've worked a little more on the page than I've worked on mine, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create another page. I'm going to basically build out some pages that I can drop into my first module. So I'm going to click on Pages in my course navigation bar here, and you'll notice my Beaker page will load here, and I'm going to create another page, and let's say I call this page 1.0. And this is going to be the Unit 1 lab manual. So this is my lab manual file. And I'm wanting to actually put the lab manual in a page so that my students have to come to this page. And in this page, I'm going to say, please read the following lab manual before coming to class. Okay, and I'm going to change that from a paragraph to a header so that they really pay attention, and if I want to, I can highlight this and I'm going to change the color of that text to red. So that hopefully, and if we want to, let's make it bold. Okay, that's hopefully really going to draw their attention to the fact that they should be reading this. Okay, so I'm going to jump to a new line, so I hit enter, I'm on a new line, and now what I want to do is I want to put in the file for the Unit 1 lab manual. So to do that, there are several different ways we can hyperlink to a file, but the easiest way to do this is over here in the right-hand panel. So I'm going to click on Files, and I have this folder called Course Files. And remember, I dropped this into Unit 1, so I have my Unit 1 lab manual here somewhere. There it is. And I can just simply click on this, and it drops it in. So it calls it unit-1.pdf. Now, this is, of course, what is commonly called in web design or in HTML, this is called a hyperlink. And there's something really cool you can do here in Canvas with these hyperlinks. So if I want to, I can just leave this as is, and if I save my page, when the page loads, you're going to notice that in addition to this hyperlink, there are two other icons. There's this, where I can actually preview the document, and there's this, where I can view the document in a new window. So if I click on Preview, it's going to open that file up here in an additional kind of mini window. Okay, so this is a viewport that's going to open up, and it's going to allow me, or in the case of my students, the ability to see this document. Or if they want to, they can simply click here, and it's going to open that document in a brand new window. Okay, now here you'll notice it downloaded automatically. But let's talk about the real problem with this particular setup. Okay, so as we all know, sometimes students don't realize that these icons mean they can do something. So I'm going to go back in here to edit that file. Okay, so I've dropped that file in. It's this hyperlink, but again, my students have to remember to actually hover and click on the icon to make it appear. Is there a way to automatically make that document load so that when my students open up this page, they would automatically see the document in that viewport window? And the answer is yes. So to do that, what you're going to do is you're going to click and drag to highlight this hyperlink. So notice I've highlighted the whole hyperlink. And you're going to come up here to this Link to URL option here in your toolbar. And you're going to click on that. And when you do, it's going to give you this link, which is to the file that you've already created a link for. But then here, you've got two options. You can disable inline previews for this link, which means your students have to download the link. They can't open it inline in this page. Or you can make it auto-open the inline preview for this link. So I'm going to choose auto open the inline preview for this link because that's what I want to do. And once you've done that, you're going to click update the link. Don't change any of the text here unless you know what you're looking for or what you're trying to do. But in theory, if you've highlighted the text or you've created the link using the method we described, you don't need to change this at all. So all we're doing is checking this box and clicking update link. And now when I save, you'll notice that I'm automatically going to open up the inline preview when this page loads. So notice there is my inline preview of this file. Okay? So that is how you can link to a file, and you can do this with PowerPoints, you can do it with PDFs, you cannot do it with Excel documents as they are not compatible in Canvas at this point in time. Okay, so just be mindful of that this inline preview does work with PowerPoints and PDFs. If you are linking a PowerPoint file, just be mindful that any hyperlinks in that file will not work when they're in this preview mode. But if the student chooses to download your PowerPoint or open it in a new window, and they actually do get that PowerPoint file, the link should still work in that PowerPoint file. Okay, so I now have my Unit 1 lab manual. I've got this beaker. Let's go ahead real quick, since we've created these 2 pages. I want to drop these pages into my Unit 1 module before we move on, because we're going to start talking about a couple of other things we could do for page design. So let's go ahead and let's go to modules real quick. And I want to come to my Unit 1 module. And in my Unit 1 module, I want to add the beaker and my lab manual pages. So I'm going to come over here to the plus, click on that, and it's going to open this window. I'm going to come down here in the drop down to Content Page, and then I'm going to first choose my 1.0 Unit 1 Lab Manual. I'm going to add that item, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing for the beaker. Okay, so notice I've now put content in here, but here's a really important thing to note. While this module has been published, these 2 pages have not. So if I want my students to be able to see these pages, I have to click Publish. And that's going to publish those 2 pages. Okay? So I now have this module, and I've got these 2 pages that have been populated to this module. And now you can kind of see what would happen if I click on this first page. As a student, it would bring me here. Okay? And that's going to allow me to see this. And then if you scroll down, you'll notice there is a next button. And when I click on this next button, it's going to take me to the next page in the module. And this is how modules work. They allow for a logical progression through the content of a singular module. So I can go from 1.0 to 1.1 and back if I need to. Okay? So we've created 2 pages, we've put them into a module. We're going to start learning a little bit more about how we can kind of customize these hyperlinks in our pages. So that's what we're going to cover in the next tutorial, is how we can actually customize these hyperlinks.